Yo, what's going on out there, everybody? YouTube, this is Samuel Leggett here. I got Niger here, Big Gold Belt Media. We're about to do the daggone thing. We're about to talk about episode 2, chapter 10, The Passenger, The Mandalorian. What's going on, Niger?
What's up, Sam? How's it going tonight?
Man, just kicking it, man. Just kicking it. I'm doing better than last week because last week I was bad. I was sick, man. So I'm good now. I got me some water.
My man. Hey, right with you.
But yeah, let's go ahead and get down to it. So, this will be a good little... We're talking spoilers, you guys. So if anybody don't know, we are not going to waste no time. We're not going to tiptoe around it. We're talking all the way spoilers. So if you have not seen it and you don't know what this picture is, leave now, come back, watch it, and then we about to go and do the daggone thing. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So, offer up, what did you think about this episode? So we can just go ahead and just get into it.
Totally different tone from last week. That's for sure. This episode, I don't want to be too harsh, but like, I thought there was so much momentum in last episode. I just was ready for more and more juicy stuff. And this one was pretty, again, it had a different tone, a lot more cuddly, a lot more cute. A lot of Baby Yoda in this, and now we're starting to see Yoda and Baby Yoda and Mando, the child, for people who don't want to call him Baby Yoda, get into the journey of finding more Mandalorians by way of also trying to get the child back to his race. So this episode didn't do a lot. There was no real big Easter eggs in it. There was no really big ending scene. It just was another episode within this series, this season. So other than that, I mean, like, yeah, I liked it. I can't speak enough about how amazing the visuals are for this show, but other than that, it wasn't a lot that went on this episode.
Yeah, and just to give you guys kind of like a little backdrop, I mean, for me, like, I was like hyped because I was like, oh, you just drop a Boba Fett like at the end of the last episode. So I'm like, oh, first thing we're gonna go, because he literally picked off right from where they stopped. And so I was like, oh snap, they about to get shot down or something like that. And no, they don't go down that route. Instead, they're just really trying to find the other Mandalorians, which is fine, but it kind of was like a little bit of a drop off from the high that we were already on.
True.
But I will say that this was a very interesting episode because it went a direction that I didn't think it would. And honestly, even this picture right here, when they were kind of like questioning him, like, yeah, I need this, I need that. And I was like, oh man, they about to bust him. He about to get pulled over by the cops.
But see, that's the thing. We're not used to seeing, any of the X-Wing pilots ever act as antagonists. That's not a thing that we typically see. So that's why, like, for me, when I seen that, I was like, oh, cool. The rebels, the good guys are here. It's like, oh, wait, we're forgetting the perspective of how we're seeing this. And obviously, towards the end of the episode, they showed their true heroic, true colors, shall I say. But yes, you're right about the whole feeling like, oh, they're about to get pulled over by the cops. Like, it definitely was very, very different tone, because usually you see the X-Wing pilots. You're going to get some good dialogue, some classic, callbacks to previous pilots and so on. Something good. But then when you realize, like, oh, they're going to shoot them down, or like they're going to take them in, he's like, oh, this is definitely going to turn a different way here,
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that I did like, is because, it wasn't until midway of last season that I was kind of like, you know what? Mando is actually a good person. Like, he's a bounty hunter, but at the same time, he's a good person. And the perception of his race is, yes, they are skilled and this and that, but I mean, he's technically very sketchy. Like, he does have a rap sheet, and he is harboring something that technically is outside of the law, and he's been definitely going outside the law. So it's kind of like the rebels. I mean, that's their whole thing, but it's different now because of this new republic. So I find it very interesting. It was a flip. I didn't see that coming. But it does lay waste to something that does come later. So we got to talk about this character right here. I'm gonna pull her up really quick.
I was gonna say really quick too. Like, I also think that this show is just challenging our norm. We're used to seeing anybody welding Mandalorian armor as being a bad person. We're used to seeing X-Wing pilots being good people. And when the dynamics change here, then you're going to get these uncharacteristic run-ins and occurrences or situations, wherever it may be. So like, and that's what's interesting about it, is like, because you just can't see it out the same way you would typically see things. So I'm expecting to see a lot more of that this season. So that's pretty cool on that note.
Yeah, they definitely set the tone for that. I want to say like last season, the very last episode of last season where Baby Yoda got kidnapped before the robot, saved him. And these stormtroopers are just like, goofing around. They end up punching the kid, like they ended up trying to prod him, and and I was just like, they sitting there shooting at him, they can't shoot, and I was like, that's never what we see from a stormtrooper standpoint, but it makes a lot of sense from a realistic standpoint. But anyway, so this character, the frog lady, she really just got her babies with her. She's trying to meet up with her boo, and she's trying to, have these kids with them, and
she's trying to preserve her species. That's the last bit. And she talked about the struggle and everything they had to really sacrifice to get to this point. She's keeping Mando accountable for his in the mission. So we're seeing a mother doing mother things here. So I'll just leave it at that for now.
Because it was oh my gosh. So they had my man. He was like, you know what? I got these Dragon Balls. I'm eating them. Like, you gonna leave these Dragon Balls open for me? I'm eating them any chance I get. And I was like cracking up. And at the same time, I felt bad because I was like, oh my God, he's eating her kids. Like, he's just popping them.
Look, dude, let me just go ahead and put this out the limb. Baby Yoda in this episode is a predator. He used the Force to lure those baby eggs over to him, and went ahead, and if I remember correctly, there was 4 casualties that went through his throat for him just eating these babies. Those little cute eyes, don't be fooled. Those little cute eyes are very deceiving. Baby Yoda is a predator.
Yeah, he gave no F's, and Mando felt so bad because I was like, bro, if I was in the same situation, man, look, don't tell that woman this little kid, but
I ain't gonna lie, I thought we was gonna get to a scene where she was gonna look at it and was like, wait, why is there only two little eggs left? I thought he grabbed all of them. Bro, she said no.
I think when there was a scene, I don't have the picture for it, but when she was in the pool with all her eggs, and like, before everything went crazy and sideways, Baby Yoda kind of stepped up, and she's like, wait, are you eating my egg? Like, she gave him that look.
Yeah, man, that was like, get that out of there right now.
We can't do this. So I'm gonna say this, and I think a lot of people are not gonna feel the same way I do about this, but I really did start to feel really sympathetic for her character, because I really honestly didn't feel like she was gonna make it. Yeah, I felt like by the end of the episode, I was like, for a second, I was like, this isn't a Disney show. Like, anything can go down. But I was like, oh, okay. It ended the way it ended. But throughout the whole entire episode, I was just feeling so bad for her, because even when they started getting shot at and then they crashed, I was like, oh my gosh, she's about to die. And these babies are going to have to be transported by Mando. Every single turn, there was this consistent feeling that she wasn't going to be able to preserve her race. She was either going to not be able to do it, or she's going to give her life for her young. Yep. And I felt like that was a very strong part of the episode for me, with the character that had no dialogue, that looks goofy, but I still felt a resonance of emotion and care and concern. The more and more perilous the situation got, because when the hole was like, it was a hole in the ship, and like she ended up getting the jacket that was on her and putting it over the babies, I was like, oh Lord, don't let this woman, freeze to death. But I don't know. I just really did resonate about, I felt continuous worry and concern for her well-being and for her young. In an episode that was mainly, not all over the place, but a lot of moments I was kind of like, yo, is this a Ridley Scott movie for a second? Because when these things popped up, straight up, I'm gonna pull it up. When these things popped up, I was like, oh, heck no. Like, how they gonna get out of this? For real, for real.
I felt like you did too. I mean, I felt like the suspense was definitely through that character. I also think that all of us are starting to fall victim to googly big bug eyes, despite the age of the character. But the one thing I did kind of fall back on is that, you know, she talked about how they did everything to get to this point, that there was no way they were not going to let this mission get completed. So I was like, there's no way that if they've been through how she kind of described the things they went through, and that seeming much more dramatic, I was like, there's no way you're about to just take an L from spiders out of this random cave. Like, this spider ain't the big dragon worm from the last episode. These are just spiders. So like, I wasn't totally worried on that note that something was going to happen, but they did build it in a way that made us feel that way. So like, I'm glad it didn't go the stereotypical route of like the mom had to save the kids and sacrifice themselves, because I'm kind of over that. But it was good to see, like, if this character was strong as she said she was and everything they've been through, then show us that. And I think, you know, you can show that by still being a nurturing mother. And she did everything to protect those kids, besides the predator and Baby Yoda that she didn't know was the quiet, small, cute assassin right under her nose.
Yeah, also it definitely.
I was gonna say also too, when she was in the pool, I was so glad to see how many there was left, because I was like, I swear Baby Yoda ate about 75% of them. So when I started counting, I was like, good, that seems like a good number here.
Yeah, they definitely did a lot of different things to show how strong of a caring person that she was, because she even like commandeered one of the robots and was like trying to talk, because they couldn't understand her. That was one of the biggest things. They couldn't communicate. And so she was like, look, I need you to do this. I need you to follow through with this. And, you know, he was like, look, I can only do but so much. And by the end of the episode, there was a moment where Baby Yoda almost got caught up by one of these spiders, and she protected him. And she didn't have to. Like, this is the same person that's been eating her young, but she found a way of still protecting him from these spiders. So for me, I didn't know what the spiders were capable of. And I didn't know if, you know, you get bit by one of these things, you're dead. I had no clue. I just knew that there was a ton of these things. And I was like, there's no way that they can just escape this by themselves. They have no ship. They only have a limited amount of ammo, and they have so many different things that are in the way that I was like, unless Baby Yoda is going to use his force, I don't know. Yeah, I just didn't know. But what did you think about the actual spiders and the way that they were designed and the way they were executed in this episode?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I've seen anything I haven't seen before, but I also, again, still think the visuals look good, especially, you know, the panning shots through the caves. It's all that was really done well, but like nothing out of the ordinary here. Yeah, you definitely nailed it with the Ridley Scott references here. But like, yeah, I didn't see nothing out of the ordinary. And again, I didn't feel like this posed any level of danger like the last episode did. So again, I didn't see anything happening out of the ordinary besides them escaping and just, you know, taking a quick hiccup with the ship being damaged. So it played out exactly how I thought it was. And again, that's why I said the pacing of this episode was so much different, because there was so much into the first episode that this episode kind of was like the exhale from that episode. And that's cool if that's what they want to do.
Yeah. The only detriment you felt most of the time was for the kids and the girl. I really honestly didn't think she was gonna make it. I was like, at the moment when she was running, and like you just see mounds of these spiders, and he's just popping them, but it's not fast enough, and she wasn't fast enough. She started hopping. Yeah. I was like, she's hopping for her life, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that's survival tactics. You gotta do what you gotta do. Go full blown frog if you got to.
But yeah, as far as anything to wonder where things are gonna go, I mean, this was really, it's not a filler episode, but it was more of a standalone kind of episode, just kind of showing, I guess, different levels of Mando's humanity, and the deviousness of this little boy, because he was killing the kids, man, and he just did not care. He could care less, bro.
Yeah, the predator known as Baby Yoda.
But yeah, what did you What did you rate this episode?
So one thing I will say is that Peyton Reed is the director here, and Peyton Reed, who's done some of my favorite MCU movies that a lot of people don't really consider in their top 5, but Ant-Man and Wasp is one of my favorites. And considering that he's done both the Ant-Mans and he's done like older movies like Bring It On, I was definitely curious to see how the comedic tone would be for this episode, and it really wasn't. So the versatility in his directing I was cool with, but overall I like this episode. I mean, it just doesn't, as a Star Wars fan, it didn't do what it did like the first episode did, but for a Mandalorian fan and just whatever, like you said, I think it was just a good episode to really set forth the season, give us a little bit more insight on Mando, and so, like you said, as far as showing his humanity. The kid is the kid, so we got to see the kid do kid things, and that's cool. You know, get himself in trouble, eating everything, get in trouble for everybody else, being a terrible passenger, shall I say? And you know, other than that, I think it's just a good episode. So I wouldn't ask. I don't have like a rating because, like, you know, it's hard. As a Star Wars fan, there's that. As a person who just watched a lot of stuff, there's that. And just overall, was I entertained, which I think is the most important. That I was.
Yeah. I think for me, I'd rest this episode at like an 8, maybe an 8.5 out of 10. Even though tonally it's very different and it didn't give me anything as far as Star Wars nudges or anything from leftover from what we've seen before, it still was a good time. It still had suspenseful moments. It still had emotional, resonant moments. And again, like to Nate just saying, like, you're getting to see more of these characters. You're getting to see them flushed out naturally and progressively through circumstances.
Yeah.
It just was kind of weird, again, because you, as a Star Wars fan, you're also having to deviate from what the norm is. Like, those X-Wing fighters are normally the homies, you know, and they did help. But at the same time, I was like, yo, you just leaving them down there at the end.
Yeah, I was gonna say they did help, and then they pulled the move on them at the end. They was just like, yeah, we're not liking that. We're gonna turn a blind eye to this. We see the good, we know the bad, but yeah, you figure your way out of this, and that's what it was. So yeah, it's just a different dynamic than we're used to.
Yeah, but I think it was a good solid episode. And again, because it didn't leave any kind of anticipation for anything coming next. That's even more exciting, technically.
Yep, the world's unlimited again. We're about to episode 1 or chapter 9. We're about to where do you want to go now? Any planet? What planet? You know, so
exactly.
And they got a limp to another planet. So where could we go?
Yeah, they might actually need another ship at this point because
100%, and that's cool too.
Because now, man, what are they gonna do at this point? Who is gonna actually help them? Who'd be willing to actually help them at this point?
New characters, new stories. I don't know, new references, maybe some Easter eggs. Maybe we see a junkyard of, you know, notable ships that we've been seeing in the past. Who knows what this may be? So it's some good and some intrigue there, and that's what I think is. You know, I have faith in this series, so I'm never worried about what's to come. And what I've seen, I was entertained, so that's all that matters.
Yeah. Now I am anticipating eventually it's got to come. My man Giancarlo, what's his name?
Gideon.
Moff Gideon.
Yeah, of course. We'll see.
I'm anticipating him coming back. With the quickness.
We'll see him again, and I'll just go back to Clone Wars. There was times where I want to call it the legendary weapon. That's not what it's called. The dark something. I don't know why I'm slipping. But
dark saber. Is that it?
Dark saber. There's been times where a couple of characters that's on this show who's been casted has welded it. Darth Maul, Ahsoka, Tanu. So I don't know. We'll see. We got a lot more episodes to go, but it's unlimited, and that's what's good. And we want to tune in each and every week to see what's going to happen.
Yeah. So definitely, everybody go down to the description bar below. Check out Big Old Belt Media. Check out Team JVS, and we shall return. These eyes, don't believe him, bro.
Deceiving.
He got some evil in his heart, man. He got some spite.
Don't leave your kids around him. True predator for real.
But we'll be back next week, and we'll be back with Lucas. Lucas has some technical difficulties, but definitely go to the description bar below. Check him out on Twitter. Ask us any questions you want to in the comment section below, and we'll talk to you guys next Sunday. Peace, guys.
Out, y'all.